Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Attorney John Deaton has posed a very interesting question. Perhaps you've pondered it yourself, and it's this. If Ripple dies, their business just goes away, and their XRP holdings are burned forever, never to come back, basically cutting the amount of XRP, total XRP, in half. If that happens, what are the implications of that? What does that do to the market? What does that mean in terms of whether or not XRP is or is not a security? I'm going to be discussing just that. And to set this up, before we get to the question, I want to share with you comments from SEC Supreme Dictator Kim Jong-Gary, as well as former SEC Chair Jay Clayton. And it's amazing how, Jay Clayton, in what I cover here, you'll see, he sort of gets it, but won't sufficiently apply a very key concept to crypto. And then Gary Gensler is pretending that new technology will always fit archaic rules, which is purely astonishing to me. But look, before going any further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making hot jams all up on the YouTubes about crypto-related stuff. But these videos that I make about crypto, they're just it's just a fun hobby. That's all that's going on here. John Deaton. He put this out. This is actually just 15 hours or so ago, so hot off the Twitter press, if you will. And here's what he tweeted out. Every Ether holder, including me, should be praying and hoping that Ripple and XRP holders are successful against the SEC. You don't have to cheer for Ripple, but you better hope the SEC loses as it relates to today's XRP, because the case against Ether is much easier. And folks, he's right. He's definitely spot on, and I've been pondering this for some time. Given that Gary Gensler, it's very clear years ago, because he publicly spoke about this, he thought XRP and Ethereum both were securities. He said that in 2018 before Billy Hinman's Ethereum Free Pass speech. And so I don't suppose necessarily that his thinking has changed too terribly much on this, even though he refuses to speak on specific instances now. But I gotta kind of wonder, it's definitely possible, but is he really going to go back and be like, yeah, that's right, the SEC, we used to be doing it wrong, but now we're doing it right? Is he gonna pull that move? I'm kind of skeptical, but it's definitely within the realm of possibility. So I don't know. It's a fun thought exercise. And then John Deaton wrote the following. Go to the next tweet below for proof as to why Ether investors should pray the SEC loses related to today's XRP. Yeah, and so to be clear, I'm 100% on board with John Deaton on here. They should be concerned. If they think that they're bulletproof, impervious here, no, this could happen. As far as the probability, that's where the fun discussion is, but yes, they're vulnerable here. And then John Deaton wrote, if we take Gary Gensler at his word from this video, it would suggest that he wouldn't have given Ethereum a free pass. He says he didn't think the venture capitalist's argument that once something is a security can transform into a non-security. Once a security turning into a non-security, he claims there's no legal precedent. And so I transcribed the most key portion of this, and I want to share it with you. The clip, the whole thing's like 1:39, but I don't need to go through the whole thing to get this point across. Here's the most interesting and crucial part as far as I'm concerned here. And this is Gary Gensler. He said this on stage April 23rd, 2018. So this is just under 2 months away from good old Billy Boy, Billy Hinman, former SEC director, giving his Ethereum Free Pass speech. So here's Gary Gensler. Can a security token transform to be something else? And a group of venture capitalists went into the SEC 10 days ago. They've circulated paperwork to a lot of people. And they're sort of saying, believe us, we get you, we're with you, SEC. But we have a bunch of clients that are going to evolve to be a consumable token. And I'm kind of don't think this is gonna work. I don't think there is any precedent in the law for a security to transform to be something else. Oh, is that right, Gary Gensler? There isn't. Well, wait until I share with you what Jay Clayton had to say around the same time period. because they actually don't agree here. And amazingly, Jay Clayton's actually closer to the truth than SEC Supreme Dictator Kim Jong-Gary is. So look, Gensler fundamentally disagrees with the idea that something can be a security and then become a non-security. Now, this is a big problem, specifically as it pertains to the prong of the Howey test addressing whether or not there is a common enterprise. Mind you, there's 4 prongs to the Howey test. There has to be 1, an investment of money, 2, with the expectation of profit, 3, on the efforts of others, and 4, from a common enterprise. And I don't think the order necessarily matters, but those are the 4 of them. And so, again, a key prong here is whether or not there's this common enterprise. And so, if something goes from being centralized to decentralized, then there can be no common enterprise. What's a decentralized common enterprise? What the hell kind of misnomer is that? It's a non sequitur. It doesn't make any damn sense. Which means, if that's the case, if something goes from being centralized to decentralized, then it doesn't pass the Howey test. If something doesn't pass the Howey test, that means it's not a security. If it does pass the Howey test, that means it is a security, right? And so Gary Gensler, he seems to think there is no precedent for this to happen. Excuse me, let me drink some water. You're welcome. I leaned away from the mic. Why don't any other damn YouTubers do that? It's like, they lean into the mic and it gets extra loud and they're like coughing into the mic. I'm like, no, just cough if you got to cough, but damn it, bitch. Like, lean your mouth the other way. I'm just saying here. So anyway, Gary seems to think there's no precedent for this to happen. He literally said that in that clip that I transcribed. Okay, right. Well, back in 1946, blockchain technology didn't exist, and that's when we're talking about the Howey test. 1946, blockchain technology didn't exist, but now it does. The fact that it didn't exist back then, resulting in there being no precedent for this today, does not mean that we should pretend that this new technology conforms to ancient legal ideas. And even if you want to go with this idea that, like, say he were correct, and I'm not convinced, but saying that there's no precedent for that. You have to recognize. You have to put your head in the sand and pretend that this technology isn't different, requiring that this get addressed so that there becomes precedent, because it's not being addressed. It's completely ridiculous. And so take a look at this. This is from Princeton University. Yes, that Princeton. This is from this piece was published May 31st, 2018. But it stems from a discussion. They said it in here somewhere. April 5th. Yeah, April 5th of 2018. So this is just a matter of a few weeks or so before that transcription that I just shared with you from Gary Gensler. And Gary Gensler back then at the time, again, he was just I believe he was just working at MIT. I don't know if he's doing anything else really, but he was not at the SEC at this point in time. It was Jay Clayton that was running the SEC. And you're going to find this very fascinating. In fact, check this out. Because Jay Clayton here, he's actually getting so close to the damn truth, even though he won't apply it to crypto sufficiently. But he's more correct than Gary Gensler here, which is kind of scary because Gary Gensler's now running the freaking SEC. So it actually did get worse. I remember famous last words at this point. I remember saying, I don't know, folks, how can it get worse than Jay Clayton? You know what? Let's give Gary Gensler. Okay. Well, now we know. Now we know. He wants to sue every aspect, every operator that's in every aspect of crypto in the United States. Anyway, so check this out. This is going to blow your little mind here. U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Jay Clayton spoke at Princeton University on April 5th at the invitation of the JRC PPF undergraduate associates. Clayton, the country's top securities market regulator, discussed the SEC's evolving views on whether digital coins should be classified as securities and the need for government oversight in the context of rapid technological innovation. According to the regulator, many initial coin offerings that have labeled their products as utility tokens may actually be securities. Clayton referred to laundromat tokens to explain the difference between a utility token and a security token, noting that the SEC will regulate the latter, but not the former. And folks, what I'm about to read from you, this is a quote from Jay Clayton as he was SEC chair, and this is pretty accurate actually. It's just that it's not, as you'll see, it's just not applied sufficiently to the crypto asset class, and I will explain why that's the case. But here, this is directly from J. Clayton, April 5th, 2018. If I have a laundry token for washing my clothes, that's not a security. But if I have a set of 10 laundry tokens and the laundromats are yet to be developed, and those are offered to me as something I can use for the future, and I'm buying them because I can sell them to next year's incoming class, that's a security. What we find in the regulatory world is that the use of a laundry token evolves over time. The use can evolve toward or away from a security. Folks, like he came talking about digital tokens and he used this comparison. And so he stated before, look, we don't need to change the 1946 law. The Howey test, it works perfectly. You can apply the same concept here, especially here he's talking about something becoming something that's a security becoming a non-security. Like that concept, you could apply it without a digital coin or with a digital coin, right? That's actually pretty damn correct, which is why my position is not that we need to take a sledgehammer to securities laws. I'm actually not convinced that we need to do that here. But here's the thing. He's acknowledging something that we know to be true. Something can become a security and then be a non-security. And what's going to determine that? Well, again, go back to the four-pronged Howey test, specifically as it applies to common enterprise, because this is a core piece of this, obviously. Okay, so fine. Investment of money. Okay, if somebody buys something, you can call that investment of money. Expectation of profit. Okay, in his little scenario here with a future laundromat coming up, okay, maybe you could argue that here. Common enterprise, definitely. And then on the efforts of others, yeah. So that sure as hell does sound like a security here. But even if you could say all of those things applied to XRP in the earliest days, it sure as hell, unquestionably, does not apply today. But the SEC here, they wouldn't say that. And so where do we have the problem? Because again, I'm saying we don't need to take a hammer to securities laws. That's my current position. If somebody can persuade me otherwise, that's fine. Humans can change their opinions over time. I do. But I feel at this point pretty strongly right now. So what would have to be? Here's the problem. There's not sufficient clarification on what constitutes decentralized. And if it's decentralized sufficiently, there is no common enterprise. The SEC won't say what the hell that means to them. So we don't have clarity. Not that we need to take a hammer to Howey. It seems to have worked pretty well overall. It's more so the asshats at the SEC not sufficiently distributing justice, not sufficiently applying the rules of the road to everyone and giving free passes. It's their behavior that's disgusting. They're the problem, not the concepts necessarily. This works pretty damn well. So if you straighten this out, you're most of the way there. That's it. And so Jay Clayton even, he knows it. So Gary Gensler's wrong. That's kind of scary because he's ahead of the freaking SEC right now. He doesn't even seem to think that there's any sort of rational way of approaching that. No, that's kind of terrifying, isn't it? Because if that's the case, then Ethereum had an ICO, and if something can't go from being a security to a non-security, given that Ethereum literally had an ICO and there was no XRP ICO, you's in trouble, my friend. That's a big freaking deal right here. So if they would just explain what is centralized and decentralized, we'd be most of the way there. But they won't do that because that takes away their power. Why would they want to do that when their mission is to basically take over the planet to the extent they can? That's pretty much it. Which is what leads us to this part of the conversation. What about Ripple? What if they go away? What about their massive XRP holdings, right? Well, and again, don't forget this too. The four prongs of the Howey test. In order to pass the Howey test, all four prongs must be satisfied. Not just one, not just two, not just three, four. Again, investment of money. Number two, into a common enterprise. Three, on the efforts of others. Four. Did I say that? With the expectation of, I think I said that wrong. Let me restart that. One, investment of money. Two, with the expectation of profit. Three, on the efforts of others. Four, with the common enterprise being in play there. Okay, so what if there's no common enterprise? What if Ripple actually goes away? Well, according to Gary Gensler, there's no precedent for that to change, so it seems like it would just be XRP. Even if it were a security, It's just a security forever. Even if Ripple doesn't exist, it's just a security forever because reasons. That makes logical sense. There's no precedent for it not to become a non-security, so it just shouldn't be allowed to become a non-security, again, because reasons. So take a look at this. This is what John Deaton tweeted out. Fact. If Ripple shut down operations and closed its door permanently and the SEC seized the XRP escrow, according to its own theory, the SEC would be in a common enterprise with all XRP holders, which I just thought was kind of funny. So I wanted to share that part, but it gets even more thought-provoking than that. John Deaton also wrote the following. What would happen if Ripple closed its doors and all escrowed XRP were burned? There are approximately 47 billion XRP in circulation. The XRP ledger is open source with hundreds of developers utilizing it. It could possibly become the best buying opportunity in many years. No one knows for sure what would happen with price. Would price spike because of cutting supply in half? Would there be an initial sell-off on the news? A different group of investors would likely buy as many XRP as possible utilizing the underlying technology. Let me pause right here. So I don't know for sure either, but I'll say this. Markets don't like uncertainty. So if out of the blue, we just got this news, Ripple's no longer a company, which I don't believe for a moment is going to happen. That's not on the radar, at least at this point in time. If that happened, markets don't like uncertainty. So if people don't know what that means and they respond emotionally, it probably means sell. That's what I guess. But don't know for sure. It's worth a conversation because what if in conjunction with that, what if part of the news is also, yeah, they're gone, but all of their escrowed XRP no longer exists? Would there be, in the short term, some sort of rally? Maybe, if both pieces of those news ended up being true, maybe. What does that mean for long-term viability, though? Well, look, if XRP is useful, developers are going to keep building on top of the ledger, so there will keep being new use cases if it's useful. And if it can't stand on its own merits, just by the nature of it existing, people can't find, as developers, can't find use for it, it deserves to die anyway, right? Because, look, I'm all about all cryptocurrencies combating out in the wild and most of them just going extinct. I'm all about that. Like, that definitely should happen. XRP's in there. I think it's amazing the utility has used an enterprise-grade software, and most cryptocurrencies do exactly, literally nothing. So that's astonishing right there. But also consider this. In terms of what it might mean for price action, outside of what I just cited with, emotional humans responding, understand that the circulating supply at that point won't have changed because the way that crypto markets calculate this is Ripple's escrowed XRP doesn't even count as circulating supply. And actually, here's what's really more important. If you want to know what really impacts the price of XRP and how emotional humans, the speculators out there, are driving it, because it is the emotional humans that drive this, mind you. It's just like what's available at any given moment in time on cryptocurrency exchanges the world over. That's supply and demand. That's what it is. And so, yes, if Ripple's escrowed XRP goes away, well, there's no sudden change to what's immediately available. The news could impact people choosing to buy or sell, sure. But it doesn't impact the available amount of XRP immediately. What it would do is reduce the amount of XRP that otherwise would have been introduced into the environment over a span of probably decades, frankly. Because if Ripple holds their XRP and they follow through with what they've talked about publicly to this point, then they'd be selling it over a span of decades and introducing it into the wild. And it would get out so slow that it wouldn't hurt the global price of XRP along the way. But in a world where XRP is adopted anyway, if there's half as much decades from now than there otherwise would be, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. Over the long haul, you'd have a much different reality in terms of price. So there's so many trade-offs. It's like, okay, but then this use case, XRP as a bridge currency, it's such a big use case. And I think that would instill so much confidence. Might you just have a price that's higher anyway with a use case like that in conjunction with other use cases from other developers? Wouldn't that be even better? Maybe. That's why there's so many moving parts to this. There's no way to, you can't have a completely solid answer on this. This is why, to me, it's just a fun exercise here. But either way, and that's part of the reason I wanted to make sure I talked about the comments from Gary Gensler and Jay Clayton first before even getting to this right now. Because it's like, is Ripple actually a common enterprise today? When we know for sure, unquestionably, that the XRP ledger is among the most decentralized of distributed ledgers on the entire planet. could no, obviously Ripple is not a common enterprise, and the SEC, they're just not sufficiently tackling this problem, and now we're left to deal with it, which is rather frustrating. And John Deaton wrapped up by writing, the technology could be used in different applications or in the same applications as Ripple's use. Would the SEC claim whoever owned the most XRP tokens constituted a common enterprise and sue that entity? Yeah, they'll sue everyone into oblivion. So I think that's a firm yes, right? It doesn't even have to be logical. It's the SEC. They're a bunch of asshats and do whatever the hell they want. They're not here to protect you. They're here to enrich themselves and give themselves more power to the degree that they can do that, which seems to be notable at this point. Really grinds my gears, folks. Really grinds my gears. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.